It's FT presented by Fox One. We're going to try and figure out what a pivot man
I
does.
thought, the NBA starts tonight, so maybe that's what it is.
That's a good call. You like hoops? You were good, Todd Father.
Yeah, we're going to pivot to the right guy or the wrong guy. We don't know. We actually do know what happened from last night.
We're going to pivot to World Series talk, too, on FT. It's here. It's World Series week.
It is.
World Series week has arrived. We have a few days to talk about it.
I know that layoff is going to wear out. Man, there's 3 days for the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers had like a week. So either, you know what? They're not even going to play the games. They're just going to forfeit both of them because they had too much time off, Todd. Because, too much time off is just, the enemy of all the good teams. Only when they lose, though.
Good point. Well taken.
But they both have layoffs.
That's what I'm saying. So neither team is going to play
the excuse out.
They can't throw the excuse out. That's what's funny about
should we be taking the unders?
No, we should be taking neither team is going to win. They're just going to tie every game because they're both had too much rest. So maybe by game 4 they'll be able to actually win. Someone can choose a winner.
That's all gone now. Well, not all gone, but the Dodgers. It's crazy to think about this top 5. The Dodgers were a wild card team. They don't feel like
they won the division.
Team. No, but they were in the wild card round. Sorry. They were in the wild card round, right? They were not a bye team. Because I'm like, 2 bye teams made it again like last year. I was like, no, wait. I forgot.
They basically had a bye. They played the Reds. Sorry, Todd.
That's all right. Hey, listen, you're just speaking facts right now. That's all.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. Let's get right into the aftermath of both what happened in Game 7, post-game quotes, the whole deal. Let's re-rack it. We did 30 minutes on the post-game show last night. Let's do a little more right now. Let's charge. Charging the mound. All right, we're charging, baby. First off, we were on at the end of the post-game show with the Dan Wilson line, and it almost seemed fake because we just had it from like a reporter. It was a direct quote. And there were actually some replies like, is this the real quote that he said? And then he did multiple interviews after that and used the same word over and over again, which we just joked about. Pivot man.
Basically, it's the guy trying to get – they used to call them setup guys. They used to call them different things. Apparently, that's the vernacular they use in Seattle. But it basically means how are you going to get to your closer. Mm-hmm. And to me, I just don't know. Here's the thing for me. If you look at it, Todd, and you're in the 7th inning, okay? We talked about this last night. But if Kirby, who was absolutely shoving, goes one more inning, then you're through the 5th, okay? And then you can use Wu for 6, 7, then Munoz 8, 9. It didn't happen. He went after 4. He went early and got Wu. 2 solid innings. Leadoff walk, base hit, sac bunt. 2nd and 3rd. You could kind of see this coming after the walk. So you're like, all right, we got to get Munoz. Maybe you have 2 people up at the same time. But the key for me is where were you in the lineup? You were at the top of the lineup, right? So you need to have your best guy, not your guy. If Bizzardo was your best guy, he would have been their closer. Munoz was unbelievable, and his slider is one of the best pitch ever in baseball, second best pitch in baseball behind Scooble's changeup the whole year. So you use him to get through the 7th, you use him to get through the 8th when you're probably going to get Vlad and 3, 4, 5-ish in the middle of the lineup. Then by the time you get to the 9th, you're at the bottom of the order. Use Gabe Spire, use Matt Brash, use Bizzardo. Then you have multiple options. Instead, he was playing the standard game, which has kind of gone out the window at this point in baseball. You just got to get through the toughest point. And to me, and everyone's saying it, that was the save. That 7th and 8th inning when you were going to give Vlad's last at bat and all that. He didn't do it, and they lost.
Yeah, and I think when you're talking about a pivot guy, it's the in-between guy. It's the guy that you try pivoting to get to your better pitcher. So, and I think the focus is here. Listen, it's win or go home. You got to put your best people right away. You can't live to see another day tomorrow without throwing who you think is the best possibility. And if you have to throw him in the 5th inning, you throw him in the 5th inning and hope for the best as the game went on. He didn't throw much. Munoz didn't throw much at all in this series, and he was perfect. He was hot. He was ready to go, and it just didn't work out. A lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas, But it just seemed like the logical thing to do. Put him in there if he's got to go 2 innings, if he's got to go 3 innings. Whatever it was just an opportunity to get that shut down with second and third. He's a strikeout pitcher. He's a guy that gets outs. It just didn't work out, man. And now you're sitting back on the flight home like, man, what did we do wrong? And I think that was one position where they might have done better.
Dan Wilson said that he was in that role for them all season. Cool. June 20th, May 10th, July 18th is not October 20th.
Agreed.
You don't play the game the same way.
You don't. It changes, especially in a Game 7. You play it backwards.
Yeah.
You got to look at the lineup and where they are in the lineup. And this is when you talk to managers, it gets going fast and you kind of lose. But you have to be so forward thinking as a manager. And this is where I think Dan Wilson got a little bit. It went so fast on him in that game. Brian Wu was cruising. He thought, oh man, we can get him through one more. Then we have Munoz for the 8th and 9th. But as soon as that first guy gets on, you got to get Munoz up. And it's easy to say that from sitting here, but listen, it's the way the game is played.
And Bizzardo had some good moments in the postseason, Todd Father. But I mean, Detroit got to him in the one game.
Mm-hmm.
The Blue Jays got to run.
Look how much he's pitched.
The Blue Jays,
same as Matt Brash. Munoz, Todd, you talk about Munoz. He threw 2 innings.
And they saw Bizzardo 4 times, including the two inning appearances.
Yes.
I mean, they got
he
a
threw
lot
2
of
innings the day before.
Right.
Game 6, he threw 2 innings.
Top Father, you see the same guy enough, things are going to start to change. And for as good as he was during the season for them, that dude's stuff is not Andres Munoz.
No, and 3-run homer is a huge backbreaker too. So, and you're sitting there, if you're a defender, if you're in the infield and you don't see Munoz coming out, like, oh, all right, well, okay, I know this is Game 7 here. Like you kind of second guess a little bit as a fielder, and you hope for the best, and you hope that he does the job. And man, my goodness, it must have been so electric last night. You saw Bautista in the suite. That was another big moment for Toronto. And now look what happens. They're going to the World Series, and it's going to be a fantastic World Series, in my opinion, too.
2 innings. Munoz threw 2 innings in 7 games. 2 innings. Now, the games didn't dictate it sometimes, but he threw 2 innings in 7. He couldn't have given you 2 innings in that game?
I mean, he couldn't have given you 3 innings in that game?
I don't know. I mean, I know
at least
done it.
6 outs. And then you worry about where you're at that point with where you are in the lineup. It's really hard to fathom. I remember talking about it last night. Then we hear the post-game sound, which we actually have. Let's play it from Dan Wilson, because what's happening now in Seattle is, if you don't go on social media, if you're anything connected to the Mariners right now, because they're losing their minds. They've never been to the World Series as a fan base, and they felt like they were right there. And one boneheaded decision cost them.
I'm not going to say it's boneheaded.
It's very stupid.
Okay.
It's very stupid.
Boneheaded.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
That's a little harsh. I would say it's a questionable decision, and it's very easy to second guess but it's a boneheaded is kind of harsh. So Scott, I know how much you love the Mariners since you pick them to win the World Series every year.
I love the Mariners.
You're very pissed.
I just think every team has.
You're like the guy who screamed when Brian Wu was talking. That was you last night when the Mariners lost. I understand it, but boneheaded is harsh. It was a questionable decision.
All right, well, let's play some Dan Wilson post-game sound and see if this made Mariners fans feel better on the accountability side.
I mean, Brian was throwing the ball so well. First of all, George, I thought, threw the ball excellent, and then Brian picked up right where George left off, and gave us a good spot to be in, and after the walk, hoping to get the ground ball, which we did, but it just found a hole, and then knew Jimenez was going to bunt there, and Bizzardo's been the guy that's gotten us through those situations, those tight ones, especially in the pivot role, and that's where we were going at that point.
How much did you consider going to Munoz, and why did you like Bizzardo better than Munoz in that situation?
Well, I mean, I think like we said, Bizzardo's been doing it all season long and has been so consistent at it, and he's done such a good job all year, and we felt really comfortable with him out there, the way he's been throwing the ball, especially in this series, and it was a good spot for him.
Mariners fans don't feel good about that answer.
No.
Does he say that, or does he say, hey, I made the wrong move? You can't say that.
No manager ever says that.
Why?
They don't.
But it was. It's so obvious. Like, oops. A lot of Mariners fans wanted accountability. Hey, made the wrong move. My closer's got to be in there in that moment. We messed up. That's on me. This team should be in the World Series right now. Players do it actually pretty frequently.
But then here's the thing. A lot of managers manage to the questions after the game nowadays. And if, let's say, he brings in Munoz and Springer still goes deep, then at least he can say, hey, I have my best guy out there.
Best guy out there got beat. Oh, well. Then we all say, oh, well.
It's the decisions you don't make that will haunt you more than the decisions you do make in those situations. So for me, you bring them in, it's the best decision, and it's a decision you make instead of sitting there like, we're good. We're going to put Bizzardo in. I'm not going to put him there. And now the haunt will come back now because it's a decision you did not make to do, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like when a pitcher makes a great pitch and a hitter still goes deep off him or gets a big knock. You're like, did nothing wrong there. Great pitch. Just got beat. M's fans feel like this was their shot.
There was a lot of emotion too after. I mean,
you want to hear it? We have it.
Crying. Both teams are crying. This is like Todd when Todd worked the Little League World Series. Man, after every game, both teams are crying. It was like that's how much this meant to these guys. I mean, like the Little League World Series, how much it means to those teams. I mean, this is how much both teams had guys with tears in their eyes. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was.
You want to hear the scream?
Sure.
It is Halloween, so might as well.
That's true. We're almost there. 10 days away. All right, here it is.
What ultimately do you feel like the legacy of this team is going to be, having gone as further than any other team in franchise history?
That, I mean, legacy is no one's really satisfied or happy with this, I think.
Well, apparently that was Julio Rodriguez, which honestly, if I'm an M's fan, I'm obsessed with that one sound. It means this dude is going to spend the next 10 years in his contract or whatever it is, trying to do more of that.
It's amazing.
It wasn't on him.
It's amazing they haven't been to the World Series. I mean, he had a great game last night.
That's great.
But the fact they have never been to a World Series is still it's insanity to me.
1977. It's the only team that's been this deep into their history.
No team ever that never went to. I mean, that's playing right now.
But even in sports, there's a bigger stat about it. Did you see that one?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can pull it up for you. Give me like 3 seconds.
Is this the new Is this like the new Curse of the Bambino thing? They're gonna always be close enough and then never get there, or is this just bad luck? I don't know.
This is about as close as you can get. So I'll give you this on the way out. This will be the 48th World Series since the Mariners began play in 1977. No other MLB, NBA, NFL, or NHL franchise all time has gone that long to begin a franchise history without reaching the championship round while remaining in the same city. It's a mouthful, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Like,
let's also not forget the Mariners. Yes, they did lose, but the Blue Jays also won this game. They got big hits when they had to.
Yeah,
they lost the first 2 games at home. Went to Seattle, 1-2, and then came back and won 2 games they had to win. So let's also give Toronto some props here.
We did 20 out of the 30 minutes last night.
I know. I'm just saying, but let's not forget. As sad as it was for the Mariner fans, and I feel for your Mariner fans, let's also remember the Blue Jays are the team that are moving on.
Yes, they deserved it.
They deserve it. They played awesome.
Yeah, we just wanted to kind of close the book on what happened there with that game and felt like that was the big moment that people are freaking out about online in Seattle. Let's ask Ken about it, and we'll get a little preview of what's to come here for Toronto against LA. Inside Scoop coming up.
For all you parents out there like me with teenagers trying to already keep a million things under control, Cash App is here to help us make sure your teens' money and their spending isn't adding up to craziness.
With the Cash App card available to teens 13 to 17 with sponsorship by an eligible parent or guardian,
Every transaction triggers a real-time notification for you to see, empowering your team to practice independence while giving you peace of mind by keeping track of their spending. You can also manage everything directly from your own Cash App account without having to switch between the two. With the Cash App card, you and your team's balances receive 24/7 fraud monitoring, and if something ever feels off, you have the ability to lock their card right from your phone in just one tap. If you're ready to give your team more independence while staying in the loop, start by downloading Cash App and setting up their account today. For a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use code FAMILY10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Direct deposit and promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cashapp.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
By far funniest moment last night on our post-game show was when we started talking about Josh Naylor. Todd, Father, have you ever seen something like that? And would you die for your team in Game 7 like Josh Naylor almost did when he jumped into that baseball early on and got the interference?
So watching on TV, you're like, oh, man, this is such a smart play. You know, you just keep running straight. But then you saw the replay. It's like, oh, man, that was tough. You know, jumping in the air like, everybody did the right thing. You throw the ball directly at the runner if he's not going to slide, hits him in the back of the head. It was kind of a boneheaded play, but you know, he's the type of person to do a little magic and almost got away with it. So I've never seen that before. I've seen guys get hit, but I've never seen somebody jump high in the air to try and knock a ball down inadvertently. It looked like.
AJ last night was
that was not inadvertent, by the way. That was 100%. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Jumping.
And I don't hate him for it. I kind of dig it. I kind of dig it a little bit because,
really?
Yeah, I mean, why not? He's trying. Maybe he gets away with it.
It wasn't on your checklist. You didn't do that.
Didn't have that one coming. Didn't see that one coming. But Josh Naylor, I tip my cap to you, man. Todd, it's trying to do anything to win for your team, bro. And I've just never seen it, but it didn't work. The umpires got it right, but it was hilarious.
He could have ran straight and kept his head down and hit him in the noggin there.
Right, without jumping. Then you have a case.
You can do that.
Yeah. Here we go. Let's hit the inside scoop. It is presented by Lids. We've got FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal with us. Ken, I'm going to push forward first, and we'll look back for a moment, just because I think this is the biggest storyline over the next few days. Bo Bichette, post-game, telling multiple people as he was being interviewed in that wild club scene, he's ready to go. Do you think he's really ready to go? And do we have any idea what that would look like for them?
I do believe he's ready to go. He actually told me the same thing the night before. He said, I will make myself available. And I said to him, well, will the team deem you available? And he said, I assume that will be the case. So what is ahead here is very interesting because if Bichette comes back, I doubt it will be at shortstop. It's just too much. And at that point, what do? Well, he's probably the DH. If he's the DH, George Springer has to go back into the field. And you lose Addison Barger or Nathan Lucas. And Barger in particular has been kind of a revelation out there. So I don't know how this is going to play out. The other question I have, and I'm kind of curious what AJ and Todd think, is here's a guy who has not been a part of it since September 6th through no fault of his own. He's been hurt. But you've got something special going here. And as important as he is to the team, does it disrupt things a little bit if he comes back, particularly if he struggles initially, which would not be a great shock since he hasn't played in a month and a half?
Ken, I said this last night on the postgame show, and I don't know what they're going to do because I don't know where he plays. You can't DH him because Springer's knee, and Springer's not a great outfielder at this point in his life. Anyways, their defense in the outfield has been really good with the way they have it set up. And then Jimenez has been awesome at short, and I know they're going to say, oh, well, take IKF out and just move Bichette to short. He hasn't played shortstop in a month and a half. He hasn't hit in a month and a half. He can't move well enough to play shortstop. So and there's an old saying in baseball, you don't make two positions worse by putting one guy in there, right? And that's what it seems like it would happen. I know Bo Bichette is great. I love Bo Bichette. I think he's one of the, great player. But I just don't know how they do this without affecting it. I mean, if they want to use him as a pinch hit, fine. But God forbid something goes wrong and then they got to throw him out there on the field. It's like, oh, man. Or do you just say, look, Bo, we're sorry you got hurt. We really do apologize. But we got to go with what got us here.
Well, it's a great question, particularly because AJ, he is a free agent to be, and he's not going to be part of their future. It's almost unquestionable that Andres Jimenez will be their shortstop from here on forward. I think that was part of the reason they acquired him in the first place, to protect themselves if Bichette did not sign. And I don't know that they ever expected to sign him. And I don't know that many teams are going to look at Bo the same way as a shortstop. His defensive metrics are not good. He's been one of the worst shortstops in the league, according to those ratings. So if this is it for him, and if you feel your team is better set this way going into the World Series, man, I don't know how you put him on. And it's going to be a really interesting question. He's Bo Bichette, as you said. Great hitter. A huge part of what they have done in all of these years. Him and Vladdy and him. But it's just a tricky spot that they're in with him right now.
So my opinion, I feel like this guy is needed for this team, in the World Series. I think this Dodger team is that good. I think they need all the best bats they need. I think it's a guy that could come in. Do I think he has what it takes to be ready right away? I think they're going to have to take a chance. I just want your humble opinion about this kind of player. Do you think he's needed in the World Series for them to win a championship, or do you think they could do without?
Todd, that's a great point. And that really is the other side of this, that you're facing a team that is going to be favored to beat you. You are facing some of the best starting pitching we've seen in the postseason since, I don't know, maybe AJ's 2005 White Sox team, honestly. So given that, and given who he is as a hitter, that's the case for putting him on, taking your best shot as a team. It's just that all these other things that we just talked about, they're factors too, and they complicate it. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what the right solution is for them. It's, as I said, very tricky and a good problem to have in a way, but it's also something that is really delicate.
I want to talk a little bit about the bottom of the lineup for Toronto. I felt like coming into this playoffs, it was kind of like hit or miss really of what they're really about. I thought if the bottom of the lineup could come through, good things were happening. What a big inning they had yesterday. A big walk and an IKF with the single to kind of kickstart everything. Talk a little bit about what you saw there and how that's going to bode well for them going into the World Series.
That was a huge difference in this series. The Blue Jays' bottom of the lineup was so much better than the Astros' bottom of the lineup. It was not even close. And we saw Jimenez hit two two-run homers in this series. He dropped the bunt last night, and it was a huge key for them. And Jimenez is a guy who has not been a good offensive player for a while now. And he had some injuries this year that kind of prevented him from maybe taking the step forward that he wanted to. But he emerged in this series again as something of a threat. Their bottom of the order has been, no question, a huge factor for them. Barger coming on later in this series. All of these things that have happened. IKF with the big hit last night. They are 1-9 pretty good. They are 1-9, certainly a team that puts the ball in play better than most. What's interesting to me about the World Series coming up is this. The Brewers, same kind of offense, really. Chaotic, put pressure on the other team, etc. Doesn't strike out much as an offense. And yet, the Dodgers just absolutely smothered them. Can they do the same thing to the Blue Jays? I don't know. And it's interesting that they're going to start this series here in Toronto, where I am still, and go from there and just kind of have that home field advantage. I don't know that the Blue Jays can beat the Dodgers. Can they give them a series? That I think is possible, but a lot's going to have to go right too.
Ken, I got to ask, because before we get to the Mariners side of this, which, to the victor goes the spoils. Do you have your mea culpa? Because Scott had his mea culpa for the Mariners ready if they would have made it, because he rants on them all the time. So we know your history with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays played an incredible series. They deserve a ton of credit. So do you have I'm sorry Blue Jays fans ready for us? Because Scott was ready with his I'm sorry Mariners fans. Instead, he got to pile on again today.
I'm going to jump in after whatever Ken says. But go ahead, Ken.
First of all, AJ, if you ever read me, which you don't, you would know I've already written this. And you would also know, in fairness to me, for a change,
for me,
I've written about the Blue Jays, last year, the year before, they were not a team that played to its potential. The things I've written about their front office were things a lot of their fans were saying too. But hey, certainly they deserve all the credit for this season. And it's been one of those seasons the executives like to talk like this, where they got 99 percentile outcomes in almost every area. Not every area, because even some of their additions didn't really work out that well. Scherzer was hurt all the time. Jimenez was hurt all the time. Santander was hurt all the time. But they fortified at the deadline, and they just had this kind of magical run. A manager who evolved from the guy who took out Jose Barrios a couple of years ago and seemed to have a great grasp of this team. They've got great veteran leadership in that room. They have younger players contributing. It's kind of a perfect mix, a team you really like to see play, like to watch. And all the credit to them. Absolutely, they deserve it. And I wrote that at the start of the postseason, AJ. You're late.
Wait, was that that was a weird way to apologize, Ken? Like that wasn't really an I'm sorry.
Not apologizing. There's nothing to apologize for.
Yeah. Wait, bring me in, because I want to add to this, Ken, because I think it's important, not just for AJ, because he jokes about it, but for fans. If you want us to talk about our opinions, right, and commentate on the sport and not just be robots, then you can't hold what we say a year, 2 years ago to a different team. You didn't say the Jays are paper tigers forever. They will always be paper tigers. You talked about a specific team that was not good. This year's team is good. And it's not like you've been smashing them all this year, which some people have done. Some people will say, oh, this Jays team.
John Snyder was getting fired in like April, remember? And now here he is going to the World Series.
So was their front office. Hey, there were a lot of people who thought this was going to be the end of the run for this group. And then they signed Vladdy. And that actually, as I wrote, I believe yesterday, made a big difference. It kind of freed up the team, as John Schneider said at one point on Jason Stark's podcast. It ended any possibility of Vlad leaving as a free agent, assured the players that the team and management were intending on winning, and winning not just short term, but long term. And it kind of changed the whole dynamic of the club. That was a big thing for them. And now when you look at Vlad Jr. playing the way he's playing, of course, ALCS MVP, you see maybe why he was worth the money. And that's what I wrote about yesterday as well, AJ. You can go back and read that one too.
What's reading? What's reading, Ken? What's that?
He does too much talking to read. But Ken, let me continue on, because this plays into the Mariners portion, and I have a question for you about them. But what AJ was referring to is how I loved, like many others, the Mariners pitching staff for the past few years, and felt like this was the first time that they actually supported the other side. Shocker, the offense was significantly better, blah, blah, blah. And here they get to this point. I was pissed the prior 2 years that I felt like they had this and they were not supporting the lineup side. That seemed to play out exactly that way. And if anything, the starting staff had some more injuries this year and ineffectiveness. We saw it in this series too. So my question for you, though, is what happened with Dan Wilson? You spoke to him after the game. He kept using that pivot term to you and to everyone else. And I get it, but I don't get it because it's October 20th, not June 20th.
Yeah, I didn't like the call either to go to Bizzardo and not Munoz there. I don't really know that there's a good explanation for it. You've got to stop the game right there. And then you worry about the ninth inning later, or the eighth inning and the ninth inning at that point. They hadn't used Munoz much at all in the series, and you end up losing the series essentially without him. So he's going to get criticized for that. He should get criticized for that. I didn't agree with it, and I didn't really even buy his explanation. Usually when managers explain their moves, I say, okay, I at least see where he's coming from. It's a little tougher with this one. Dan Wilson, a heck of a nice guy, and you hate to see any manager, any team in the pain that team was in after the game. It was rough to see. Cal Raleigh was in tears. And given the 49 years and everything surrounding them, it just was so disappointing for them. And any fan out there, obviously some fans probably hate the Mariners, but any fan out there who can't sympathize with what that team was going through in that moment doesn't have a heart. Now, I will tell you this. What I was going to write if they won the game, depending on circumstances, but this was the way I was leaning, was kind of going back to Cal Raleigh's comments 2 years ago at the end of the season when they were eliminated by Texas. And remember what he said then? He basically called out management for not showing enough commitment. And that same offseason was the offseason in which President of Baseball Operations, Jerry DiPoto, said, hey, you win 54% of your games over a 10-year period, you're going to get your shot once in a while. Fans should be thankful that we're being patient like this. And, of course, it didn't come off well. I knew what he meant, and actually what he meant kind of came to fruition here. They won, 56% of their games this year and almost made it to the World Series. But this team has come a long way. Their moves at the deadline for Naylor and Suarez were moves that they might not have made before. So they had a great season. They won their first division title since 2001. They beat the Tigers in that epic division series. They extended this series to 7 games. They had a 2-0 lead. We all know that. They had an opportunity last night with a lead. We all know that. But if I'm a Mariners fan, of course I'm crushed. At the same time, as a fan, my opinion is all you can ever ask for is a competitive season in which your team's kind of in it all the way. They got that. Now, of course, they want more. We all understand that. And eventually you would expect they're going to get more. They're going to get that World Series finally. But this was a tough way to lose, no question.
Hey, the Cubs said that for 100 and something years, Ken, so they can, they're going to get that World Series eventually. I mean, they're only 47 in. They got, 49 more, 59 more to go. 40. How many ever years they're in? They only got like 50-something more to go to get to the Cubs. So go Cubbies. But no, the thing is they went, Jerry DiPoto had the famous quote, 54%. And Cal Raleigh came out and said, I didn't really mean what I said. It was taken out of context. But he was exactly right with what he said. They finally did it. Will we see more? What I want to know for the Mariner fans out there, will we see more of this from their ownership? Are they going to say, we almost won, it didn't work, we're going to have to cut payroll because Naylor's a free agent, Suarez is a free agent, right? Some of these pitchers are starting to get to where they're ARB eligible, and they're going to have to get paid a lot more money. Yes, they signed Cal Raleigh. Yes, they signed Julio. But what are they going to do? Are they going to stick with this trend, or are they going to go back to the old Mariners like, we'll just try to, win games and hopefully we get lucky?
I don't know the answer to that question. And actually, AJ, it's the right question to ask right now. Where is ownership? Are they going to keep pushing, or are they just going to be what they've been for many, many years now, which is kind of semi all the way in, but not totally all the way in? So that's a question that we'll see resolved in the offseason. And to go back to Raleigh's comments from 2 years ago, one thing he said afterward, he did apologize for making the comments, basically because he was afraid that he had offended his teammates. He didn't want to come off as criticizing his teammates, and he wasn't criticizing his teammates. He was saying we need better players, but not at the expense of his teammates. What he was saying was, hey, we've got to go out and get some people, and that they eventually did. At the time, he did not apologize for wanting to win. And AJ, I know you don't read me, but I had an interview with Raleigh on the pregame show, I believe it was before Game 6, and I asked him about those comments, and he said it came from a place of frustration. And he also said that they've done what they said they were going to do. They improved the team. They've gone out and gotten players, and he had no problem with the front office. In fact, he signed a 6-year, $105 million extension. So you're right. They are now at an interesting crossroads because what they should do is double down and keep going. They've got to improve their team a little bit. But will they do that? I don't know the answer to that.
Last question. We just saw a manager signing Kurt Suzuki with the Angels. Congrats to him. What a great guy. Do you know a little bit about him? Talk about him. What do you think this signing means for the Angels, and how do you see this turning out for the Angels?
Well, Kurt Suzuki is one of the great people in the game, and he's a guy with a very upbeat personality. He played for a world championship team in Washington in 2019, and I have no doubt he can succeed as a manager. I do have doubt that any manager can succeed in Anaheim. And I don't know what happened with Pujols, whether it was money, whether he had just reservations. I don't know. But for Kurt Suzuki, for Perry Manassian, their GM, the challenge is working for an owner who is committed in his own way, not committed like you would want to see him committed to winning. So, I don't know. I wish Kurt the best. I've known Kurt forever, and he's a great guy, as I said. Will he be a great manager? You never know when you hire someone essentially who has never done it before. But he was a former catcher. We all know how smart former catchers are because on this program, they kind of run the show. But at the same time, do I count on this being a success? I can't count on this being a success. No.
That's a good way to put it. There's such an obstacle there that will continue to be an obstacle, but we'll see how he handles it. And I'm excited to also at some point see what happened with Pujols and with Artie.
Hold on, before Ken goes, I know he's got to go. But Ken, would you have had Munoz in the 7th, or were you happy with the Bizzardo move? You would have had Munoz. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you disagree.
I think you got to stop the game right there. And again, there's the leadoff walk. You can get somebody up right then. Then you got 2 more hitters before Springer's spot came up. Yeah, I would have had him up in that game. You still had Brash. You still had Bizzardo after that. You could have managed the rest of the game quite well.
That was the game.
That was the game
biggest
right
moment
there.
in franchise
And
history.
one other thing. The night before, and I got a text from a manager right after the game about this. Bizzardo pitched 2 innings. Now, it was only 15 pitches, but he threw 2 innings, and I believe that was his 9th appearance of the postseason. Or last night was 9. I'm not quite sure which. It was one or the other. He appeared in almost every game. He was kind of their Louis Varland. At some point, you got to go to your best guy, and they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Brash pitched 2 innings in 7 games, Ken.
Munoz.
Not
Sorry.
enough.
Munoz.
Not enough. Right.
He's too good.
Wasted
on the bench. Yeah, that's where Mariners fans are at right now. It's like great season, whatever, but it's not like they lost that game cleanly. There's a move that many would make that I think is really causing a lot of pain right now in Seattle. So we wanted to make sure we hammered it, and then we can move on. Ken, good stuff, and we will talk to you obviously later in the week about the World Series matchup coming up.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. That's Ken Rosenthal, FT Senior Insider. Of course, you're going to be able to see him on World Series coverage as well. Inside Scoop is presented by Lids. Here's the deal. Today, we just announced a giveaway. Why? Because it's World Series week. We're teaming up with Lids, and we're giving away an MLB hat of your choice and a box of 2025 Bowman Chrome cards. These are some of the most coveted boxes out there. And what you need to do is comment under the post who you think will win the World Series. That's it.
Not the Yankees.
What? Well, you can put that. I don't know.
I'm just saying they're not going to win.
A lot of sense.
The Yankees aren't going to win.
Well, it was just the hat that we grabbed. And also text territory to 29017. Receive 20% off your next headwear or apparel purchase. And can you show me real quick before we go to break? Because we cracked open one of those boxes, but the other one is the one that we are going to give away. Here we go.
Is that the one you opened?
This is the one I opened. The other one's over there, and that's the one that we're going to ship out. So this is that pretty Bowman Chrome. You'll have an auto, I think, in every
Todd's
box.
so mad. Todd wants to win that so bad right now.
He does. Todd, these are the good ones, right? This is where you can find like that rookie's first card with an auto. Yeah. I mean, usually every year you get one in here that could be a 6-figure value piece. Not in every box, but the pull. So anyway, enter now. Go on our socials, get after it, and we'll be right back. Let's take you through the Arena Club Slab Pack experience. This is part 2 because Todd Father last week pulled a card that he didn't love, yet he sold it back for actually more than what the slab pack cost. This time, pulls a card that he likes.
Yeah, and this is the best part of it. Ronnie Mauricio, the Mets standout, rookie sensation. He's been absolutely phenomenal. I like the itch of seeing what you're going to get. I like prospects. I don't love them. But seeing this kind of card is actually absolutely beautiful thing. I know a couple people around town that would absolutely love that card. So there's going to be a lot of conversations going on here for Arena Club.
And what you do is you have it in your digital showroom. If you want to hand it out locally, then cool. You ask Arena Club to send it to you, and they do. Or you can sell it back like you see there. Instant offer for $193, but he's keeping it. And you can do what Todd Father does by going to arenaclub.com/Val and getting 20% off your first card purchase or your first slab pack purchase. I want to see if I can bring up 2 things in 2 minutes. 1, shout out to Don Mattingly. going to his first World Series, 46 years in pro ball in some
It's a shame he
capacity.
never got to go with the Yankees.
I know. But look at that smile. Like, dude, half a century almost in the sport, and now he gets to experience the World Series as a coach on the Blue Jays staff. Super cool. Todd, Father, have you come across Donnie?
I have. He doesn't forget a thing either, man. Great guy to talk to, great guy to be around. He's a baseball lifer, and from the time I played, he was really great to talk to. Yankee lore, anything you could possibly think of, and you can see that pretty genuine. There was a lot of genuine and real and raw emotion during this time, and it's exciting. It's very exciting for baseball and some people, and I thought that was a pretty cool moment.
And there's Mark Feinstein. I know Yankee fans don't have fond feelings for the Blue Jays, but the idea of Donnie finally getting a World Series ring is kind of awesome. Well,
and he has to win.
He's got a tall task, Mark.
Right now he's got a second place ring if they don't win.
Yeah, tall task against the Dodgers. But I'm excited. I mean, they're at least heading into the series feeling real good. That was like the high of highs. But 4 days later, and now you're going to run into a ace every single night in the World Series.
And a lineup that doesn't quit either.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a fun series though. I think it's gonna be better. I think everyone's just assuming the Dodgers are gonna wipe them out, but I think it could be better.
I think so too. Not a sweep. Hot Corner, let's sizzle, and this is breaking news during the show. Kurt Suzuki, 42 years old, is being hired by the Angels to run the dugout. He is going to be the new manager of the Angels. Artie Moreno has made his call. He was talking to Albert Pujols. He seemed to be like the front runner. It sounds like money and some other philosophies got in the way of that one. There were others like Torrey Hunter in the mix, but Kurt Suzuki was a top-tier candidate as well. Do either of you guys know him well? I mean, I've interviewed him a number of times.
I
Nice,
played
super
against
smart.
him for a long time.
Okay.
I mean, he's always nice.
Yeah. He's a catcher.
Yeah.
He's worked a little bit, what was he, in a
he was
special assistant
to
GM Perry Manasian. So
he's been there for 4 years, 3 years. So this was his 23, 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously him and Manasian have a relationship. Working with each other the last 3 years.
And the 2 years prior, he was on the Angels as a backup.
So he's been there for a while.
Yeah.
Good for him. Cool.
Yeah, this is great. I think the baseball world needs more players becoming managers. I really like this. I really enjoy this. There's a bunch of them now, but the more we can get the players that have been there before and understand, especially a guy who's caught his whole career, understanding pitchers, their tendencies, and now he gets to have an opportunity to manage a team and hopefully get them kick-started in the right direction. And it starts with our good friend Mike Trout, and it goes from there. So, yeah, this is a great signing. I'm happy for him. Another player gets another shot of doing what he loves to do, and that's play the game and manage a game now. So I can't wait to see what he has in store. I can't wait to see his coaching philosophies. I think it's going to be truly remarkable for him and the Angels.
He hasn't coached. Are we okay with that? He hasn't coached in the bigs. Stephen Vogt did what, 1 year?
1 year as a bullpen coach in Seattle.
Yeah, and then he ran in there, and he's been really good.
I mean, Aaron Boone didn't coach. There's been guys that have done it.
Yeah, I'm just
Bob
saying.
Brenly never coached, and he won a World Series.
Right
from the TV booth.
It just depends on the person, right?
Yeah.
You got it or you don't. And also, you know what sticks with me a lot now, and it's a stupid common phrase that you go duh, but when we talk to Mike Shilton, you're like, yo, you've had 2 good years. What's your key? And he's like, good players.
Yeah, it always helps.
I mean,
good ownership, good players, good coaches, good communication. But managing has changed so much. It's just more now about connecting with the players than it ever was. I mean, because, as much as every manager says, oh, I'm not giving the lineup, the front office does have some input on everything. So you got to – it's not like back in the day when the manager had all the power and literally – you're going down because I don't like you and you're going to get traded. Now the GMs in the front office have that power. And they don't necessarily give you the lineups, but they give you a good idea. Remember Matt Williams benched Bryce Harper for not running, and Matt Williams got fired, and Bryce Harper did not go anywhere.
The managers have the third most juice out of three. Number one is front office because they decide who's there and who's not. Number two is players, and number three is manager. In my mind,
Yeah.
you're not going to battle over a star player anymore, right, Todd Father? I mean, the player, if he's there for a long time and he's the man, like you're not going to win that battle.
Never, no, and that's just the way it's been. But another point, I can't wait to see who his coaching staff is. Are they going to keep guys? They're going to revamp the whole thing. So that's the next thing to come out. I know Kratzy's looking for a first base coaching job. Maybe he'll sneak in there.
Number one, that's good. That's good. Kratz in California. I don't think he's leaving Amish country. Number two, I don't think Kratz. I think Kratz is actually smarter than you guys think. He is not going to work for a team that doesn't even fix the air conditioning. We can joke about it, but it is true. Like it is a microcosm. They fixed it now.
I think so. I thought they redid their whole spring training combo.
No, wait, you didn't hear about this?
Oh, the air conditioning in the
weight room. You were off that day, but you say Kikuchi came out and said something, and then actually Pilar, I think, was on that day, and he was like, "Yeah, it's on brand. Like we had issues like that. That's unacceptable."
True.
And it wasn't like, "Oh, it's broken, and we're gonna fix it in the next few days." Kikuchi said he's sweating balls in there because they didn't fix it. Once it broke, that was it. Done. Rest of the season, if you want to work out, cool. But it's hot yoga, baby. That's unacceptable. That, to me, Todd Father, that's the stuff that stands out. And there are some people like, you're a big leaguer, like figure it out or pay for it yourself. That's not how it works. You don't bring in your own freaking technician to fix that guy's home park, the owner. So that's the point here is, how does he navigate working with somebody who is very difficult to work with?
Yeah, that's what you're going to have to do as a manager. You're the boss. You're the boss on the field, and you're going to have to figure out and not step on anybody's toes and try and be your own person. And I think that's what Kurt Suzuki is going to bring, his own mind, his own person, and his own managerial way of what he wants to do. And like I said, I can't wait to see how it happens. He's a smiley guy. He's going to be happy. I want to see his first argument. I want to see it all. I want to see how he reacts to everything.
My thing is, Albert Pujols, we've been talking about this, is actually apparently highly coveted, but I think a very risky hire. And I think he would have been a good fit in Anaheim because he would have been able to kind of learn on the job, do his thing, little less pressure. And I think he would have been one of the few guys that can actually bite back at his boss and be like, hey, bro, you don't know everything. How's everything going for you the past 20 years? Not great. Can Kurt do that? Can Kurt go up to Artie Moreno and be like, listen, dude.
It's not his job. It's more Manazian that has to do it.
Okay. It's tough.
I agree. That's how the power dynamics have changed. Listen, I'll tell you what. Kurt Suzuki, I hope he does awesome at this job. But why did they hire Kurt Suzuki and not Albert Pujols?
They were fighting about money.
How much do you think, and they don't tell us because God forbid, Todd, they tell us how much coaches and managers and front office people make. But he was probably a relatively cheap hire.
Oh, yeah. No more than $2 million, maybe $1 million. And
guess what? They probably feel like, hey, we can control him a little bit because he wants the job.
This is why
I hate to say that because I like Kurt Suzuki a lot. He's a really nice guy.
There's only 30 of these, so you take one and see if you can do something with it. I'm trying to come up with a pathway.
Plus, you got to get a good reputation out there if you want to go on to another team, like possibly could not be the Angels. Like, I mean, the Angels have been a mess for a long time.
They shuffle through managers every other year, and I'm just trying to come up with a pathway for Angels fans to feel like they have hope.
Their young core is their hope.
Okay.
And they need pitching.
And they have to go get pitching, and they need to be able to fix little things and operate the way that most modern franchises operate.
All I got to do is look at the other team in Los Angeles, even though they're in Anaheim, what the Dodgers do. They help their players in every way possible. And do everything to every minor leagues on up. They give the players everything they want, need. If anybody asks for something, the Dodgers, they don't say no.
And everything that the Dodgers do, this is true, like that, can be done by the Angels. We're not talking about, this isn't about signing players. The Angels they spend on players here and there. But when there are little things in the organization that don't get done, those are the little cheap things that make all of the difference in the world. You ask so many players about that. The line that people liked from us last week was how we said, hey, Google Frank McCourt. It wasn't that long ago, and he was running the team, and he didn't do those things. He was more like an Artie Moreno, and the Dodgers weren't very good.
True.
So, congratulations to Kurt Suzuki, new manager for the Angels. Let us know your thoughts if you're catching this after the fact. Drop a comment, and I'll reply to as many as possible. Coming up next, we will put the season to bed for the Brewers with Curt Hogg. Hey, I want to bring up a fan comment from last night's postgame show, and I told the fan I'd get to it now. The name Zach or Zick. I don't understand how it's not talked about more. Springer shouldn't even have had an at-bat. That was an obvious intentional walk. Tied for third most go-ahead homers.
No.
Blah, blah, blah.
Bad
play
take.
for the double play.
Because you don't want Vlad to have a chance to get up that inning. Because let's say they walk him and then Lucas doesn't hit into a double play. Then you got Vlad coming up, who they didn't want to face at all. So, no, it's not. What you hope he does, he hits a sac fly, you give up one, you're still winning 3-2, and then you get Lucas out, and then the next inning you face Vlad with nobody on, and you're up at least one run. No, that is not the point. Now, if it was Vlad Guerrero up in that, yes, that's an easy intentional walk. But George Springer, no, I don't care what he hit. We talked about it on the postgame last night. They were just blowing heater for 2 days since he got hit in the knee. Heater by him, and he finally caught up to one. It was right down the middle, but they had thrown him right down the middle before, and he'd been late on them all.
Right.
And he finally just got to one. Shit happens.
My thing was, Todd Father, I don't think because I'm just trying to think, like, what does the modern game do? I don't think any manager in that spot says, I'm going to walk him, knowing that you're now going to get to Vladdy Jr. But I think just about every manager does bring in Munoz for that situation in these days.
Yep. Easy question, easy answer. Yep. A lot like we talked about before. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. There's a lot of questioning after the fact, and that's part of this game in any sport. Why did you do this? We could have done this. What could have happened? Nobody ever knows.
How about in the World Series, Todd Father? How careful are you going to be if you're the Dodgers with Vladdy Jr.? You're like, I've got such good pitching.
Yeah.
Or do you say, hey, I'm going to be a little...
You see how it goes early.
With his ABs?
See how it goes early and how your plan to attack him goes.
Okay.
If he's hot, then you change. But early, I think with Snell probably starting game one, then you have Yamamoto, then you have Glasnow, and then you have Shohei.
Pitch.
That's Todd. That's all dudes that throw 100 with nasty stuff. I mean,
no, you take your chances early for sure.
Real quick, just give me a yes or no. Game one, first base is dude at second, first base is open in a big spot. Do you walk Vladdy?
In what inning?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna have time.
First inning, no.
Mid game.
Depends on where we're at.
Okay.
It's so hard to just. I hate that when you just say,
so many different scenarios.
Milwaukee Journal Sentinel beat reporter for the Brewers, Curt Hogg, is back on FT. We haven't put the season to bed for Milwaukee. Obviously, it went to bed this past weekend, and then we were busy yesterday getting ready for Game 7. But now we're going to say night-night to Milwaukee. Curt, good to see you. And tell me your evaluation of the 2025 campaign for the Brewers and try to look at it from a more global perspective of how this team has been good consistently but not doing enough damage in the postseason. Or am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. I think this year was a bit different than the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years where they get bounced early because they did win a playoff series. And not only did they win a playoff series, they beat their biggest rivals in the division, the Cubs, Craig Counsell, all that jazz. You can say whatever you want about the celebration after and the L flag and then get absolutely bludgeoned by the Dodgers and their pitching. Obviously, that I don't know if there's ever been a better pitch series than we saw from those four guys. The Brewers went 6-0 against them in the regular season, then absolutely outclassed in the postseason. So kind of difficult to square those two things together. But ultimately, look, they won 97 wins. Murph would say it just about every day until we all grew tired of it. No one really expected a ton from them. Not even those who have been around the team, like myself, saw 97 wins and an NLCS appearance coming. So, look, it was a successful season that ended, unfortunately for them, in the same way that it always ends, without a World Series ring.
I want to ask you, I was going to ask something else, but I heard you say something that they were outclassed. Can you further explain to me of what your reasoning for that is and how you came up with something like that?
I mean, you saw the pitching, right? The fact that the Dodgers and their big money arms came at you time and time again. And it wasn't just the fact that they out-talented the Brewers in that series. It felt like there was a lot going on in terms of the Dodgers pitching against the Brewers hitting that just didn't line up well for the Brewers. I mean, Blake Snell comes out in game one and locates better than we ever see him locate, and he's going heavy changeups, and the Brewers could never adjust. Yamamoto, they were chasing everything, chasing splits. You know, everything looked like fastball coming out of the hand against him, and a team that doesn't chase swung at everything. So it was sort of that stood out from that series. The Dodgers, the Brewers pitching did great. They held them to 15 runs outside of Shohei obviously hitting 3 homers in the final. They pitched pretty dang well, but they couldn't get anything going on offense.
You mentioned this was, what'd you say, a good year for the Brewers, but yeah, a good year. Okay, they won a 5-game series. Congratulations, but they didn't make it the World Series again. They didn't. They got whacked by the Dodgers, like you mentioned, right? So, why do you say it's just because they won the one playoff series against the Cubs, a team that they had, it's kind of their rival? So does that make the fans happy in Milwaukee, or do they still want more in Milwaukee? Because I did a bunch of games in Milwaukee, and man, do they want more, right? They want Mark Antanasio to spend that and take the next step. And here we are talking about Freddie Peralta maybe being traded, William Contreras maybe traded. Are they going to pick up options? Will they take the next step to really, and they keep cutting the payroll, yet they keep winning. At some point, those two don't work together. So when will the ownership, much like we just talked about with the Mariners, take the next step and say, hey, man, we fill this place every game. We are packed every game. We sell a ton of merchandise. We're going to throw more money at this team and really try to take the next step.
Yeah. Milwaukee's a place that deserves a winner. It's a great baseball city. You know that. All you guys that have been here, you know that. They sold, I think, 20-something games out in the second half. The playoff atmospheres were incredible. It was, AJ, it was a good year because they won 97 games. And we've all been around baseball for a long time. We know that the playoffs can be fixed. You shouldn't probably just use a postseason performance to determine an entire season. And this year was a step forward for the Brewers. But no, you're absolutely right. You're kind of looking at them against the Dodgers in this series, and you're like, well, that's your competition. You can kind of squeeze as much out of the tube of toothpaste in the regular season, and Matt Arnold and his crew have done that time and time again. Pat Murphy, as a manager, he's done that in both his seasons as well. And it's like, okay, well, this is like best case. You win 97 games, you get the 1 seed, the best record in baseball, and then you get to the playoffs, and it's like, oh man, the talent level disparity was really on display. No, the Brewers played 4 bad games. The Dodgers played 4 great games. That can happen at any point. Like I said, the Brewers did beat them 6 times this season, but when the chips were on the table and push came to shove, they just didn't have the guys to compete with the Dodgers. And maybe that's not the biggest knock in the world because it's the Dodgers. They have all the guys. But the Brewers do need to do something to up the top tier of their team, and be in a situation where they can compete in that NLCS if they have to face the Dodgers again.
All right, Kurt, I'm going to run you through some of the decisions they have coming up. Shelby Miller, Jordan Montgomery, they're free agents. They're probably gone, right? Mm-hmm. We'll start with the options. William Contreras, that's an easy pickup for me. $12 million, that's an easy pickup, it seems like to me. Rhys Hoskins seems like he's out the door. He didn't even play at the end. He wasn't happy, right? Danny Jansen, $12 million. They're not picking that one up for a $500,000 buyout. Sorry. Freddie Peralta, they're already talking about trading him because they're going to pick up his option, $8 million, the steal of the year. Jose Quintana, they're not picking him up, I don't think, at $15 million. And then Brandon Woodruff is the one that's interesting to me. $20 million for the option, $10 million buyout. I would think he would be a guy they would think about bringing back. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Brewers would be interested in that because that's basically a $10 million deal for the next year. But if you're Woody, I think you're getting more than 10 million on the market somewhere else. Now he pitched what 18, 19 games this year, somewhere in that range, maybe 15 games. And there is the history of the shoulder, but in speaking with him, he feels like he's at a full go next year, and we're talking like workload, velocity stuff, all that stuff being back. And so he probably will make more than 10 mil in the open market. And so this is like, look, this is why mutual options almost never get picked up. And in the Brewers case, never get picked up. So I could still see Woody being back in Milwaukee if the two sides can work something out. But they're going to have to compete with some other clubs on the open market. Because if he's at a full go, like think about it. He was a 3.2 ERA this year, and he was throwing low 90s, mid 90s when he was at his best, but mostly low 90s and like really pitching. Now imagine if his fastballs are back to what we're used to seeing. That's a guy that should generate some good interest this winter.
Hey, Kurt, how many more tricks does Pat Murphy have up his sleeve? He did the old average Joe's thing this year. You know, he did the woe is us. We're the little, the little engine that could trick for the whole year this year, and they had the best record in baseball. What other tricks does Pat Murphy have up his sleeve?
I don't know, but there's more. I guarantee you there's more. You sat in the production meetings with him. There are more. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we show up to spring training and they're playing the underdog card again. I mean, it may even be justified. Like, the Cubs will probably pick to win the division next year, and that's understandable. And if they are, or Pacoda has the Brewers at like 84 wins again, guess who's going to play that up? It's going to be Murph. That's what he does, and they're going to they're just going to go all in on the same things again.
Hey, Kurt, I'll double down on the Freddie Peralta story. I mean, that's going to dominate the headlines. We know this happens almost every offseason now for the Brewers. Last year it was Devin Williams. The year before that it was Corbin Burns. It's Freddie Peralta talk time. Is there any chance that they keep him? I mean, he's a top 5 National League pitcher. He's cheap as hell, and he's about to be a free agent. Isn't that a lock for the Brewers to deal him away? And you look at not superstars that they've picked up for these past trades, but valuable parts of the team, and they truly believe that this is how they keep the train running and not going through a rebuild, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't categorize it as a lock that he gets traded, but everything that I've picked up and gathered from people that are inside the industry and have some idea of what the Brewers might be thinking is that they expect him to be traded. And look, we've seen the Brewers do this for, just like you mentioned, Scott. The one guy that they didn't trade, if you remember, is Willy Adames. And Freddie does share a few similarities with Willy in terms of the importance to the clubhouse and like what he means to the franchise. But there's the difference between the two of them in their final year of team control is that Willie was coming off a down year. Freddie's going to finish in the top 5 of Cy Young voting for this season, and his contract, everyone in the league can take that on. So it's not a sure thing the Brewers trade him. You're going to have to meet the price for sure. But all signs, everything we know about how the Brewers like to keep churning and don't want to avoid it. They don't want to have any potholes where they just really stink for a couple of years. Like, they want to keep the talent pool full and get that young, controllable talent. Odds are Freddie Peralta could be moved this offseason.
Definitely. The guy's an absolute stud. Now, along those lines, guys getting moved, guys not getting picked up. Can you talk a little bit about the minor leagues? Is there anybody that you could see coming up from AA, AAA that's going to make a mark on this team and help them get that next step forward in the playoffs?
I think it's interesting. If you look at the Brewers window, they have a really, really good farm system. Jesus Made, obviously one of the top 4 or 5 prospects probably in baseball. Cooper Pratt's up there, guys like that. They have a really good system, and they keep drafting and developing well. But it's a little bit down the road now that like guys like Miz and Logan Henderson and Robert Gasser have come up, and they'll be in the rotation next year. Like, that's sort of the young talent pool that they'll be relying on a lot next year. And then maybe it's a couple years down the road when Made's up and Pratt's here and Jefferson Caro's the starting catcher after Contreras leaves. Like, their window is extended. There's not necessarily any guys like right on the precipice of the big leagues next year. Although maybe you could argue that what we saw from Miz in the postseason, he's on the precipice of being like a really, really good big league pitcher. There's still a lot for him to figure out, but those kind of performances make you feel pretty good if you're the Brewers about him as like a number 2, number 3 starter next year.
That was going to be my question. What do they do with him next year? Because going into the postseason, you know this, Curt, they didn't really hide it. They didn't even know what he was going to be in the postseason. They didn't know if he was going to be on the roster. They didn't know if he was going to be a starter or reliever. They didn't know if they could trust him. And then he went out and had some huge performances for him. So does that automatically earn him back the trust of Murph and the coaching staff in the front office and say, okay, we can plug this guy into the rotation? Because he did make the All-Star team as a starter this year. I mean, as controversial as it was.
Yeah, he's going to be a starter. I think he's a lock for the opening day rotation. The Brewers are, they're one of those teams that they trust the stuff. And in the postseason, that's what they did. They trusted the stuff. No one had any idea. I think anyone would be lying to you if they told you they knew that this was going to go that well for Miz. But you learn a lot about the kid walking into Dodger Stadium and commanding the ball like he did and commanding the moment in that Game 3. He was incredible. He was lights out until he kind of ran out of gas a little bit there at the end. So, look, if you're trading Freddie, you're doing so because you have a lot of confidence that this guy, even though it was a very rocky regular season, that he showed you things that Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burns showed you in 2018. It's like, it's that method, that model sort of all over again of like, oh yeah, no, this guy's a dude. He can be at the front of our rotation.
Joke incoming, but what about Ashby starting every game next year? Just
hey, he might be a starter. He could be a starter.
They already tried that, I thought. Then they signed him, and then they made him a reliever. Remember, he was a starter at one point, but he couldn't throw enough strikes. That's why they stuck him in the bullpen. They did sign him to that deal, and then they're like, oh, wait, maybe we shouldn't have done this?
He's got a long-term deal, right?
I know.
He does, yeah. And there's also the shoulder injury. The shoulder surgery kind of derailed that a little bit. So I could see him wanting to start, right? Wouldn't you, as you got a couple years left before he's going to be a free agent again in a few years? That would raise your value. And look, the dude's got like a nasty 4 or 5 pitch mix. And he's proven he can start every day in the playoffs. What more do you want?
No, I mean, so you talk about it, if they trade Freddie, which everyone kind of thinks is going to happen, they go Priester, Gasser, Miz, Patrick, and who?
Henderson.
Henderson.
Yeah.
They better find some depth somewhere.
Yeah. Remember when they had too many starters and they had
got
to
rid
trade
of Savali?
Aaron Savali? It's just crazy how a season goes, Curt, where, I mean, we looked at them, we're like, damn, the Brewers actually have a surplus. And then
they had none. Well, they had 1.5 starters in the playoffs.
Who was the 0.5? Ashby?
Priester.
Oh, yeah, but he didn't even start. They started Ashby.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, he could get you like 2 times
so
3
once. They had Ashby, and who was the other one?
McGill opened a game. Quintana pitched Game 4 against the Dodgers. Didn't go well. So I'm going 1.5 starters and then some openers.
Chad Patrick had a pretty good season, but they didn't have enough confidence in him being a guy that could begin.
Well, then
games.
He gave up the ball out of the stadium to Shohei, and they realized they might have been right on that one.
Yeah, he had some good and bad moments.
No, he had some great moments. Actually, him and Priester are actually really good for him.
Yeah, they both had one like really bad inning, and then the rest were pretty much good from what I remember.
Yeah,
it's getting to be a blur, but all right. Well, Curt, Curt, we'll talk again, obviously, and great coverage of the postseason. Thanks for joining us, man. I'm thinking of Alejandro, but Curt, thanks, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
That's Curt Hogg. You can check out his coverage in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Give him a follow. Hey, we're back. Can we show the tweet that actually we put out, I think, first last night, but then a lot of other people had the same joke going. On Friday, Shohei Ohtani will be on a plane to Toronto. There's Bill Plunkett and many others. I mean, FT threw that out there too last night. Finally, Ohtani on a plane. Wait, but this is the story I want to ask. Todd Father, Shohei Ohtani was thinking about Toronto, or maybe he wasn't. I don't know. Roki Sasaki, I think, was decided for years that he wanted to sign with the Dodgers because every team can pay about the same. I think they're going to get booed like crazy in Toronto. Those two in particular are public enemy number 1 and 2 because Toronto feels like they were slighted for their team, their location, whatever. It had more to do with those guys just really want to be with the Dodgers, but that's not how fans and fan bases think about it. Don't you think they're going to go nuts for those two with boos?
I think Shohei's going to get most of all of it. I don't know about the other one. I think Shohei is enemy number 1, especially with the whole saga that went down. And he's on a flight. He's got this. I remember like it was yesterday. We were having a good laugh over the whole thing. We thought it was serious too. We all got shamboozled with the whole thing. And next thing you know, he's going to the Dodgers. So yes, there will be some signs. There'll be some yelling, some screaming, and guess what? He leads off too. So this is going to be pretty incredible. I can't wait for this World Series. It's going to be a lot of fun.
He leads off, and Roki Sasaki is going to be finishing games. And up until a month ago, it was a complete non-story, right? If these two teams were matching up, they would have been like, ha, the guy that we desperately wanted and we thought maybe was considering us isn't even a factor. Oh, wait, now he's like a huge factor.
Closer.
So there's cool storylines. What's his name? Teoscar Hernandez back to Toronto.
Yeah, but Shohei already went to Toronto last year.
Yeah, but it's the World Series.
It smashed a homer.
Did he in that series? But this is the World Series. Like it resets because it's a big moment. So I just think it's fun. You look for those storylines. I mean,
of course. What did they always say? Everything in the postseason is a story, even when it's not.
Mm-hmm. Right, a guy going, 0 for his last 6. It's like, are they going to figure it out? Is he going to figure it out?
You don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a small sample size. So anyway, we're excited about it. Coming up next, we're actually going to do a World Series preview to try and go through some matchup components. Time for a World Series preview. It's powered by MLB Perfect Inning 25. So I think we need to start with the roadmap for an upset. The Dodgers are favored. How do the Blue Jays figure out a way to win a series against a team that has 4 number 1 starters and just dusted the top record in the sport? It was not a good series. It was an entertaining series on an individual game-by-game basis, but Todd Father, if you're on the Blue Jays, how do you crack the Dodgers pitching staff?
Well, I think you got to think of it another way. How do you keep putting pressure pitching wise? I think it's going to come down to the Blue Jays pitching. They got to find a way to stop these guys from scoring. I think that's the way you got to go about it. The Dodgers put up a lot of runs, and guess what? They find ways to put pressure on teams. I think the Blue Jays staff is the number 1 thing they got to do because they can hit. We know they can eventually hit. They've done it before, and they play well in close games. So if they can find a way, their pitching staff, to keep them at bay, 3, 4, 5 runs going into the 7th, 8th inning, I think they'll have a chance. And I think that's the biggest thing they have to worry about is keeping those batters at bay. And if they can do that, we know that eventually those bats are going to come alive. But it's got to be right from Jump Street. And again, whoever they start in the beginning, they got to ride that wave a little bit and keep going. So if they can keep the hitters at bay, they're going to be all right, in my opinion.
We're showing some of the starters for the Dodgers, like Yamamoto and Glasnow right now. Toronto makes contact. So did the Brewers.
So did the Brewers.
They didn't do crap. But Toronto's got a lot more slug and star power in there with guys like Springer and Vladdy. And even here, I'll bring up a good example because he's been my favorite to watch at the plate. Ernie Clement has a 4% K rate in the postseason, and his slugging percentage is 6-something. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the kind of guy that needs to keep doing what he's doing. I mean, he's tough to strike out, and he'll rack doubles for you.
Here's how the Blue Jays win this series. They survive against the starting pitchers of the Dodgers, and their starters match, and then they get into the bullpen. Because, yes, Roki and Vesia, but if they can get some of these guys out early and make them get to some of the other guys that haven't been as good, that's their shot. Because if you're just going to let Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Shohei go 6-7 innings, you're going to be in trouble. Because that means, one, they're doing well, you're not hitting. And two, that means Dave Roberts can use Vesia and Suzuki a lot in the bullpen, try to figure it out from there. So I think the key to this is how well do the Blue Jays starters match the Dodgers starters, right? Because I feel like both teams are going to score some runs.
Yep.
And I feel like both bullpens will have some hits and some misses. But if the Blue Jays starters can match the Dodger starters, give them a chance. And if they can knock them out every once in a while early, that's their shot. Then you get the Sheehan's and you get some other guys that just aren't as not as good, but as, I don't know, good in the bullpen, right? I don't know. That to me seems like the key.
Okay, so if you're the Blue Jays, how do you prevent the Dodgers starters from going so deep into games?
Foul off a bunch of pitches, don't strike out a lot. But don't also have first pitch out. See, they do that too.
That's my question.
They do that too.
They attack early. They're a swinging team. The Brewers aren't actually. The Brewers are a contact team, but what made them unique this season was that they don't chase. They were one of the best walks, chase rate, whatever. Throw it all out the window for the last series. All of that was gone. They were swinging, chasing, at great secondary stuff. But how did the Blue Jays do this? Because often, like, what was the one game where they really got, it was a game 3. Everything they were doing was within the first 3 pitches. So it works great if
it works.
The ball's falling in the right spot. If not, I mean, you might look up and be like, damn, even Glasnow's at 50 pitches through 5 innings. What do? You just hope that the ball falls in the right spots?
I don't know. Listen, I don't know what you do. I think it's going to be a tough series for the Blue Jays. I do. I think the Dodgers are just a better team 1 through 26, and that's the problem that every team has run into with the Dodgers. That's why I've had them number 1 on my power rankings since day 1, Claudia. But I think they can get a couple games, though. I think that if they can get it, if they win game 1 and put some pressure on the Dodgers and go to LA and maybe steal one here and there and get it back to Toronto like they did for 6 and 7, this crowd's going to go crazy. So that's kind of how you have to do it. You have to strike early, steal a game somehow. Someone hits a home run late, or the Dodgers make an error or something, and they steal a game, maybe steal a base or 2. I think one thing that the Jays can do, and they don't do a ton of this, is they can run on the Dodgers. I feel like Glasnow, Snell, you can run a little bit, and especially on their Suzuki comes in, you get guys on, you can run. So I don't know.
Todd Father, the really famous headliner coaching wise for the Blue Jays is actually their hitting coach this year. Now, John Schneider's done a really nice job and he keeps gaining experience, but they love Dave Popkins. I mean, even casual fans know who he is, and he was pushed away by the Twins, right? Twins let him go. He's there. Blue Jays players have talked him up a ton. Like I heard one quote from, I think it was Varsho this series, who said, let me give you the difference. In the past, the way our hitting instruction and coaching staff was set up, if I had to make a mechanical tweak, it would take me weeks, if not months, to get back on track. Now it's days, and that he lets everybody be themselves. So with all of that being said, if you're a Blue Jays hitter and he says, hey, be yourself, if you're a swinger, you're not going to be like, okay, well, I want to get deep into account every AB against this starter because we want to get him out of the game and get to the bullpen, right? You're going to keep just playing the way that you play.
Yeah, and if that's being ready first pitch for a pitch you're looking for, it's ready to attack. And I think that's a great concept. I've had coaches like that. We're not going to tinker with anything really. Maybe something in your mindset, what you're looking for. Are you looking out over? Are you looking in? What types of pitches you're looking for? You don't necessarily need to tinker with somebody's stance all the time and footing and everything else. You need to get in their mindset. And I think that's one of the biggest parts that people need to understand. Like, you're getting lessons from somebody. You don't need to revamp or change anything. You need to change their mindset of thinking, do what you do best. Let's figure out what you do best as a hitter. And whatever is the stuff that you can't do best at, let's lay off of that until 2 strikes. Be you, go out there, and that's what got us there for the Toronto Blue Jays. Be you, and let's focus on what's got us there and go out there and win a championship.
Okay, so I feel like we've at least painted somewhat of a roadmap for the Blue Jays. What about for the Dodgers? I mean,
just be the Dodgers.
Just be the Dodgers? Just do exactly what you've been doing to a T?
Go out and play.
Is there a weakness to exploit?
Blue Jays, the bullpen. It's the bullpen. It's
John Schneider might do it differently this round. I think he should.
Well, he's going to have to use lefties.
Use lefties, but I also think that you need to get more creative with. I mean, I know I talked about this on the postgame show last night. Like Bassett, maybe Gossman pitches an inning or two on a throw day. You don't think that? You think that's doing too much?
No.
Like
he's going to have to use a full roster.
Gossman's going game 1 or 2, right? It's either Gossman or you're Savage. I got to look at what how many days it's been, but probably is Savage, right? Because Gossman.
I mean,
Gossman, it was a throw day.
Well, he's got 3 days, so he's got plenty of time.
Yeah, but my point is, Goss and Savage, you might look at a little bit differently, but Gossman's veteran guy, and on a long-term deal, and knows how to take care of himself. He's been in the league for a minute. I do think he pitches game 1 or 2 in between that and his next start. He could give you an inning or two. I know it wasn't beautiful last night, right? He got himself in a little bit of trouble, but if that's what it takes because you don't have confidence in some of the other guys, like I'm okay with that. If the splitter is the equalizer against the Dodgers in a certain pocket of the lineup and it's his throw day when they said he throws 30 plus pitches on his throw day, give me an inning.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be the first time. This has been done often. Top five, Patrick Corbin for the 2019 Nats. When did the Red Sox win? 2018. It was Porcello. It was 3 of them that we all saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
That were coming out of the bullpen on throw days. And people were like, oh, Alex Cora, brilliant, whatever. It's like, yeah, veteran guys on their throw day are giving you an inning, and they were fine.
I think it all matters of where they are in the series. If they're down, yeah, of course. If they're doing well, I don't necessarily think you should bring them in. You should save them for the opportunity to come in either game 5 or game 6. What might have you there? So I think, yes, I love that decision. I think that's great. If you're down 2-0, there's no holds bars. You're going out and doing whatever you think you can to find a way to win.
Okay. And I'm with you on the home field part. I mean,
Dodgers went 2-1 against them. Snell dealt against them this year already. Kershaw beat Scherzer in that game, that famous game from this year. And the third game, the Blue Jays beat the Dodgers late.
Okay. The Snell one makes sense. The Scherzer-Kershaw one, I mean, Kershaw's probably not going to be much of a factor. And Max is a different Max. If you see that Max can work for 4 or 5 innings, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need just one of those as your bridge, as your pivot later in the series to get through the back end of the rotation and win a game 4. You are relying on some experience there. That's actually a big part of this is Max and Bieber. What are you going to get?
Bieber needs to have the good stuff, not the stuff he had last night, though. That stuff he had last night, it wasn't good.
Yeah, that's not going to work against the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen 2 bad and 1 good from Bieber. I don't
Every
know
other
if
one.
Is there any way to, like, it's just an inconsistency thing when you're coming off surgery? Like, does extra rest
pitchers
help?
keep talking about it, I guess.
Extra rest, does that make any difference?
He's going to get a lot of rest.
Right, he's going to have
8 or 9 days.
Yeah, over a week.
He starts game 3. What did he pitch? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So he's going to have a week.
Yeah, that's next Monday.
Yeah.
I think that's probably good.
Okay.
I don't know, but
I'm fascinated by how Savage does against the Dodgers. I haven't seen him. The Mariners actually handled him pretty well.
First start, they really handled him well.
So
he also didn't have his good splitter in that first start.
Yeah.
It's a field pitch, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be fascinating with his angle, and they've never seen it. I don't know. We'll see how it does.
Dodgers are really good at laying off pitches.
Dodgers are really good.
Team.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Dodgers get strikeouts. Blue Jays don't strike out. A lot of interesting matchups in this series. A lot of blue, too. If you like blue, this is your series.
That's true. Here's the one thing I will say. For those that are putting out, the Blue Jays can rescue baseball. Shut up. That is way too much. Oh, if the Dodgers win again, like
the Blue Jays have a top 10 payroll in baseball.
Stop it. That is ridiculous.
We should ask Curt Hogg about that.
The Dodgers payroll is like 400-ish, and the Blue Jays payroll is like 280 or something.
Yeah.
Like, stop. First of all, yeah, they're 2 teams that definitely spend Todd Father. But let's not act like if the Dodgers win back-to-back World Series titles, the sport is broken forever. It's just it felt this way last year with Yankees and Dodgers. It's like we never get a matchup like that, and we can't just enjoy it one time. We never get a matchup like that. and everyone's like, oh, this is just like the two big teams. Okay. It never happens. And those teams haven't won that much over the past, few decades, right? The Yankees dynasty is a long time ago at this point.
Yeah, and if you're a president or GM or one of those guys and the Dodgers do win, it's like, okay, maybe I need to start spending a little more to get my team going and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. They had an opportunity to get guys, and guys said, you know what? If you're going to pay me, I'm coming over. I like my opportunities here. The end goal as a baseball player, number one is to win the World Series. And number two is to provide for your family, of course. But you want to, I mean, you can flip-flop that too as well. I mean, family always comes first. But as a baseball guy, when you're playing, you want to win a World Series and you want to take care of your family. So they both kind of go together. So, yeah, if you're going to pay me, that's great. I can provide for my family and have the best opportunity to win a World Series. So why doesn't every president try and do that? We don't know that answer. So it's just part of baseball. And if the Dodgers win, I think it's fine for baseball too. If you don't like it, play better. That old adage. That's all, or get better players.
Yeah. Freddie Freeman has been incredible for them during his Dodgers tenure. He's not a $500 million player. He's a player anybody could have signed. Mookie, anyone could have traded for initially, first of all. The Red Sox also are a big, big, big market, and they somehow felt like he wasn't worthy
Muncy was a
of
cast
staying.
off.
Muncy was a cast
Will
off.
Smith, they signed.
Yeah.
Anyone could have had Kike.
Yep.
Teoscar was signed a one-year deal last year. Andy Pajas was an international free agent. Miguel Rojas was, is not making a lot.
Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates, which everyone was freaking out about towards the end of last offseason, complete non-factors, right? I'm not going to act like they don't have resources, but they're doing it smarter than everyone else. It's not just the resources. There are other teams.
They traded for Glass. They traded for Glass. Now, obviously, they were able to sign him, but they traded for him.
Yes. Mets have spent almost as much as them.
Mm-hmm.
They did not participate in the 2025 postseason. So anyway, I don't think it ruins baseball. That is way too much. Sorry that you're catching a dynasty, and Shohei Ohtani is also the best player of all time, and he's playing like it right now. Anyway, thoughts that you have for us, we'll focus in on a game-by-game perspective when we get closer to game one. And shout out to MLB Perfect Inning 25. QR code is on the screen. It's a free game. You can download it on your phone. The MLB Hank Aaron Award winner of the past and Home Run Derby champion of the past on the cover this year, Big John Carlos Stanton, who had the massive postseason last year, experienced the unique thrill of the real-time PvP baseball game in MLB Perfect Inning 25. Here's a little peek. It's Foul Territory, presented by the brand new Fox One app. They're the presenting sponsor through the World Series. Where can you watch the World Series?
Fox One.
That is correct. Start your 7-day free trial today at fox1.com. The QR code is placed nicely right below Todd Father right now.
You see Ken. You can see all kinds of good stuff. You see, if you watch NFL on there, if you're into that, you can watch Big Noon. You can watch college football. But Friday night and Saturday night, you can watch the World Series.
Exactly. And hey, sometimes in today's world, it can be difficult to find games, but we are telling you right now that if you go to fox1.com, you can start a 7-day free trial. And yes, on Sundays, you get Brady, you get football. So stream all your Fox favorites together in one place. Let's see if we can get to a question or two. Monk mode. Will Ohtani go for a 4-homer game? I mean, yeah, he'll go for it. The thing, we spoke yesterday, Todd Father, we didn't get your comment on this, but of Ohtani's performance on Friday, just as a former ball player, knowing how freaking hard it is to play the sport, what were you thinking when you saw that?
I was thinking, go grab a newspaper. This is going to be a history in the making. This is something that in 100 years, I don't think it'll ever be topped. It's the only person I think that could top it is him again. So, I thought it was absolutely incredible. I tell everybody, guys, this might be this time in baseball. you're seeing the best to ever play the game ever. Will this ever happen in our lifetime? Probably not. You got some of the best baseball players ever to play this game, and you're watching it. Please sit back and watch the show. It is truly remarkable. I tell my kids, my two boys, I said, dude, you're witnessing history here, and it's so cool to watch. Baseball is such in a good spot with these guys playing the game and winning and doing their best and now seeing in the World Series. Truly, truly remarkable. There's nobody like Shohei Ohtani, and I tell you what, the coolest thing I've seen on a baseball field.
Yeah, it's hard to appreciate history sometimes, or at least for me. Like I'm watching, I'm like, this is ridiculous, but it's happening, and then it passes, and you're like, okay, should I have done something different? No, just watch the game and just be like,
enjoy it.
Yeah, this is fun. And the only thing I do is, as a greedy fan, I just hope there are more versions, not of an exact copy of Shohei, but just somebody else that can pitch and hit like that. It's just cool. San Francisco Chronicle senior baseball beat reporter Susan Slusser is here, best in the biz, covering the Giants. And wow, we've got work to do. Susan, great to see you. And I'll start with this. Your shock factor when you saw Tony Vitello as the main man leading the way to manage the San Francisco Giants. And as of us doing this second, it's not done, but it does sound like it's heading towards that direction. So what do you think?
Well, Andy Baggerly from The Athletic has been mentioning Tony Vitello quite a lot. In fact, really ever since this job opened up. So am I surprised? Yes. Shocked? No, because we knew that I think there are some family connections with Tennessee, University of Tennessee. Obviously, the Giants have taken or acquired some Tennessee players, including Blade Tidwell, and of course, Drew Gilbert is on the big league team. So they definitely have some interest in those kinds of guys. It's stunning in that he has no pro experience, neither playing nor coaching. That's virtually unheard of, but we know Buster Posey's bold, right? He pulled off the Devers deal 6 weeks before the trade deadline out of nowhere. So I think this potentially is another big swing from Buster Posey.
Okay. What's the connection between Buster Posey and Tony? I tried to find one. Along the way, you mentioned Tennessee. Buster went to Florida State. Is there something I'm missing here that they're so connected and they have a relationship from?
I believe someone in his wife's family has a Tennessee connection. So yeah, there's that, but also, that in baseball, what a small world it is, AJ. Everybody knows everybody. And when you're talking to, they took a player from Tennessee. You're talking two players in the draft who are from a school. You get to know pretty much everyone there. Now, this is Buster's first year as the top executive, but he's got a huge bunch of people in the front office helping him who have experience. I certainly think that Jeff Berry knows probably everyone at Tennessee after a long career of being an agent. Zach Manassian's obviously been in numerous front offices and probably is well acquainted with everyone there. I think they like the job he's done there. You can't argue with the success that he's had. I have seen some people kind of compare this a little bit to Gabe Kapler 2.0. Somebody younger and very outside the box. So we'll see, maybe they're in one of those. We swing from the younger guy outside of the box to the older, more established manager to the younger guy again. But this one is very bold.
Yeah, and along those lines, do you think a college manager can translate to a professional manager at the major league level without really any experience coaching at that level?
It just hasn't. It's been done so rarely. Everybody talks about, Pat Murphy, but he had coached for a while in the minors. Certainly, and he'd been on staff. So, go back to Bobby Winkle maybe, and even he had time on a big league staff. So it's really just such an unknown. If you're a team that has a lot of young players, maybe, but the Giants aren't all young players. They do have 5 guys who are on long-term contracts who are more veteran guys. But they are, take Matt Chapman. He really took to Drew Gilbert. Drew Gilbert's a very sort of rah-rah, collegiate type player, and he showed that tons of personality, loads of enthusiasm, and Chapman loved that. That as the team kind of faltered a little bit down the stretch, I think some of that stuff maybe got put aside. Drew Gilbert, to his credit, didn't haul out the rah-rah stuff when the team was playing poorly. But maybe that is something that a team that has struggled to kind of be consistent for a few years could use, as a little more energy, some more enthusiasm. I don't know if that, I've never met Tony Vitello. I walked past him once. When the Giants played the Rockies this year, I really should have stopped and introduced myself, guys. Kind of whiffed on that one. But yeah, he's got a big personality. You always wonder sometimes how that plays in a big league clubhouse, especially with somebody that has no pro experience of any kind. If you've got a big personality to go along with that, there's the potential that it could rub some veterans the wrong way. Sure.
That was going to be my question. How do we think this is going to go? Because he's never had to answer. When you're the head coach of a college, yeah, you have an AD, but if you're doing well, they just kind of let you do your own thing. You don't really have to answer to anybody. Well, here he's got owners, he's got Buster, he's got GMs, he's got players a lot of times you have to answer to. How's he going to deal with not being like the big man on campus? Because in college, college football coaches are the man. College basketball coaches, college baseball coaches, they control it. Oh, you don't like this? Guess what? Transfer. We'll find somebody else. There's a million people we can find. The big leagues don't work like that. You have a select few people you can get. So how's Tony going to adapt to being not the head guy in charge?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things. The so much more media, right? That's going to be a huge difference too. I think he's very good with the media. It certainly seems like fans, so many more fans, and the fans are going to be as skeptical, I think, as we're going to hear from a lot of the media. So he's going to have to deal with a lot. He's going to have an enormous amount on his plate. The thing I'm more curious about is who winds up being the bench coach. Do you need somebody who's very experienced in that spot? And if so, do you sort of feel like, if you're Tony Vitello, is there somebody looking over my shoulder all the time? Do I have to worry that if we go into a long losing streak, that suddenly I'm going to get replaced by somebody who's got some former managing experience? I would have had the same question probably if it had been somebody like Nick Hundley, who was the early front runner before he withdrew his name for family reasons, and I think still might be potentially somebody that the Padres are looking at. So there's so many different aspects to this. It's absolutely fascinating. We're going to be able to write about this all offseason, which I guess is a good thing.
All right, that you answered that question too. I was going to bring up Nick Hundley, but how about the other coaching staff? Have you heard of any wind about what might be? Is it going to be a whole new revamp of everybody pretty much, or is it going to be a couple guys that you still know about? Have you heard anything?
Well, it's going to be interesting because the Giants said when they let go of Bob Melvin, and Matt Williams and Ryan Christensen both immediately told me that they are leaving with him. But otherwise, the Giants said that they will recommend the rest of the coaching staff to whoever the new manager is. Now, I would assume that Tony Vitello has, at least somebody or a couple of guys that he would like to bring in, but they are going to need some experience. I thought JP Martinez and Garvin Alston, the pitching coach and assistant pitching coach, were fantastic last year. It's really tough to argue with what the job the Giants pitchers did overall. I really hope they're back. I think the Giants hitting coaches did a good job, with a lot of things kind of going against them at times. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go at all. But to me, it's that bench coach spot that's going to be really, and they're going to need some experience. There's just not a ton of older coaches there.
So isn't enough about the new manager. Let's talk about the team this year, and let's talk Buster. How would you rate Buster's first year on the job, including if this does go down, which everyone is expecting it to happen? How would you rate his first year on the job as president of baseball ops.
Well, I really would probably give him a solid A because of the Devers trade and doing that so early and out of nowhere and giving up not a ton to get such a great player. The stumble, though it was understandable at the time, was trading 2 experienced relievers just before the team got hot, which obviously you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know. They got very good value in return for those relievers and Tyler Rogers and Camilo Doval. But they then went on a tear, but the bullpen had so little, very young guys pitching in different spots. That really hurt them down the stretch. I think that they were a much better team than they were that final month of the season, but the bullpen really struggled. So I still give him an A. I think all the moves he made at the time were very good, and the offseason moves too were very good. So he's doing well. I mean, this is probably his biggest test to date. So let's get back in another year. Let's reconfer on a grade for Buster.
That's really good. That's really good. He's a stud. I'm talking about free agents now. Will they re-sign any guys, and do you see them getting after it, the top free agents in the market? Because they always seem to be involved. You know what I mean? And they always seem to get 1 or 2 guys, but it's always that, man, why couldn't we get this person? Do you see this team in the same direction going into free agency, or do you see this team kind of, maybe holding back a little bit?
Well, I think they're really going to want to know what happens with a lot of guys who either have team options or potentially are tied to qualifying offers. Kyle Tucker, I think, is a guy who they would definitely have interest in if he is somebody who is available on the market. And they need another bat. They absolutely need another bat. But almost all of those guys either have team options, player options, or qualifying offer potential. So we shall see. They'd very much like to bring back Justin Verlander. I think the ball is in Verlander's court on that one. He's pitching in a great ballpark. I mean, we know why he went there, right? He's trying to get 300 wins. Great ballpark, good defense. And he pitched really well, particularly in the second half, really well. So he's going to get offers. But the record was absolutely not what he wanted. So I don't know quite how he looks at that. Does the manager decision or what they do with pitching coach, does that potentially affect it? I don't know. If he leaves, they also need a veteran starter. There are going to be a lot on the market. I certainly know when Bob Melvin was still the manager, you would have looked at, say, Sonny Gray, who absolutely has the best relationship with Bob Melvin and would have loved to come there. He's got obviously he can decline trades. But I think, a year in a good ballpark for pitchers, with, Matt Chapman played behind him. He knows what that's like. That's fantastic for pretty much any pitcher. I think he's somebody they could make a trade for if the asking price isn't too high. So they've got a lot of options there, but they definitely will need a veteran pitcher of some sort, and they need another bat somehow.
And the thing that I think Giants fans should be excited about is the fact that they'll get that done, because Posey in year 1 already has talked his bosses into doing a lot of things that it was not as easy to do in the past, right? He's clearly got cachet. Even in this manager situation, Susan, Tony Vitello is not coming over for $1 million a year, right? He's going to be a more expensive manager. Buster's spending on Devers and Adames, and that'll continue. So I think Giants fans should be excited about that part. Clearly, he's got some say, but appreciate the time. We're going to obviously talk more about this. We'll wait till it's official, but thanks for hopping on with us, and appreciate the time as always.
Fantastic. Thanks, fellas.
Thank you. Good to see you, Susan. Here we go. Wow. It's like what we get to see every night in Orlando. Beautiful fireworks as the 3 OG hosts got to pick up a dub.
Pap's having a rough week, man. Mississippi State lost. He sucks at betting. He's having a rough week.
I went head-to-head against him, Todd Frazier.
I'm getting killed.
Pap went one way. I went the other. Yeah, well, you're a big spender, and you don't have a lot of time.
I've only three or four bets, and it's like 1 and 3, no bueno.
Yeah, but you got the World Series.
I'm the 5 o'clock hitter of the group here when it comes to betting. Regular season's at 5, and then the real stuff's at 7. So not good.
Yeah, but we got Friday. You're on Friday, and we'll take. I know you won't be on, but we'll take your lock Friday if you.
No,
want.
You won't.
You don't want to give us one.
No,
you don't want to text us game 1.
I'm up.
Oh, so you're gonna wait until?
Listen, I won the regular season. I'm gonna win the postseason.
You're gonna wait until Monday.
Yes.
That'll be game 3.
That way I can get a feel for the series. I gotta get a little feel for the series, how the pitching's going, how the hitting's going, who's hot, who's not.
Okay.
I mean, I don't do the bets you guys do. Like, I get it. You guys are good at taking the money lines. Todd loves the money line. I don't do the money line. I always look for plus bets. I'm parlaying for pluses.
I'm already seeing what it is now. I already think I know what I'm doing.
See?
Okay.
But like you didn't even know he could do the bet I did on yesterday.
No, he did it. Tell him what you did.
I did both teams to score 3 runs, and that was plus 105. George Springer, thank you very much.
Holy cow, that was a good one.
It was a hard game to predict. BetMGM account holders, today, how about an any sport parlay boost token? You can score a bigger payout if your wager with that token hits. Tokens can be used on parlays and on same-game parlays. Gambling problem or concern? There's help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're going to do a little looking ahead and focus on some other storylines coming up. We've got like 5 minutes. Let's bounce around a little bit. We'll start with the World Series topic, then we'll go to some of the manager news. We asked Ken about Bo Bichette. Now that you got his reply, what do we think? What do we think is going to happen here with Bo Bichette? I mean, they're not going to leave him off the roster if he says he's ready.
I know. I just don't know what they're going to do with him.
How do you deploy him?
I don't know. That's the $1 million, because you can't play Springer in the out. You guys saw Springer; he could barely run.
Yeah, some people were saying that in the comments. I mean, I'm all over comments.
Do you use him as a pinch hitter? And then something happens. Like you can't. Can you put him on defense? We saw him run. It was like a week ago where he couldn't even run the bases.
Remember? Right. And he still doesn't run the bases. So we need that. They're going to have to see that.
It's easy. Anyone can say I'm good to go until you got to do a bunch of stuff.
That's hard.
Right? So you got to be able to run the bases. You got to be able to do a bunch of things. But if you're the Blue Jays, and listen, I know Blue Jays fans, y'all been killing me on Twitter, like, because I said this last night, but I just don't know where he plays. I don't know where he plays. And it's a tough conversation you have to have maybe and say, look, Bo, we're sorry. But should he be on the roster if he's healthy? Yes, but he also hasn't hit in 6 weeks. September, what do you say, 6 was the last game?
It's a
been
long time.
Almost 7 weeks of not playing.
Yeah.
I'm less concerned about that, Todd. I'm more concerned about, where you put him. Because the Blue Jays have had a really strong defensive team, and I think you're going to need that. You're going to have to play some really perfect baseball out there. Are we okay with Bo coming off a long, long rest here? Not rest, rehab, to jump back into one of the most important positions on the diamond in shortstop? And also, I'll say this, it's true. Bo Bichette's not an elite defender at shortstop. So already you've got that working against you too. So it's something to think about, right? You want your defense to be tight.
It's hard. Decisions, man. This is what they get paid the big bucks. This is what you talk about all off season. If they win, you made the best choice in the world. If they lose, why the heck do you put him on the roster? You know what I mean? So you can go either way with this. He's a really superb baseball player. He can hit the ball really well. He's been off for a long time. Is he ready to go? You got to see him run. You got to see his movements, and I think that's what they'll be trying to do these next couple of days. I don't know. We talk about him all the time. I think you have him on the roster, and then you go through all different scenarios about what pitcher's throwing. Do we start him here? Do we not start him here? You want to get him in a groove, too. You don't want to just play him and all of a sudden, all right, he went 0 for 4, forget about him. So I'm glad I'm not in that situation.
Everyone keeps bringing up Schwarber. Well, Schwarber got to go to the Arizona Fall League I don't even know, Instructional League, sorry, and he got like a ton of at-bats. Bo hasn't been doing that. I mean, I'm sure maybe he's getting some simulated game action maybe off some guys, but Schwarber was actually playing in games, and Schwarber was just the DH. Well, the problem is they have a DH. His name's George Springer, and he hit the biggest home run of their year last night. And again, you can't put him in the outfield.
Can you?
Maybe
I mean,
you guess you can, but
that's what they're looking at. What
okay,
that might be the only scenario. Might be the only scenario.
But who do you take out? Lucas? Varsho?
No.
Or Barger?
Whoever,
Which one do you take out?
Take out one of those lefties.
Oof, man. But then don't you also use Schneider, the mustache guy, and isn't that Schneider?
Davis Schneider.
Yeah.
For lefties.
Yeah, for Snell in game 1.
Would you rather just have him on the bench and use him as a pinch hit role? I mean, that's got to be
hard. I know, but
you haven't played in a month and a half.
Go get a hit off Sasaki throwing 100 with a nasty split. You haven't played in 6 weeks. You haven't seen it, and you haven't had that. Also, the thing is, you haven't had like that adrenaline. You know how it is, Todd. Like it's just a different animal when you just. I don't know. It's fascinating. Do I want him to play? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll help him if he's healthy. But again, he hasn't until you can listen. I need to see video of him running the bases, playing shortstop, moving around. There's a lot of things, and people are just like, "Oh, put him at second for IKF." He's never played second.
Yeah, I know. I was one of those I just brought it up. I wasn't saying to do it, but in game 1, it's Snell, right? So you have Lucas and Barger lefties.
But David Schneider will probably sneak in there.
Right, but if not, like that could be the game where if you feel as if George Springer can be the outfield, that could be your test game. Be like, okay, we got one game here. We're going to do things a little differently, but Bo's one of our best hitters. He's DH. Springer's in the outfield. Let's see what happens, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
It's going to be a huge story the next several days. So
huge.
We're starting to talk about it, and there will be a lot more once John Schneider starts to maybe reveal some plans about what's going on here. Anyway. Let us know if we're missing something. I'll check as many comments as I can later on. All right, Slap Hands coming up next. I saw a lot of where Scott Servais tweets from Mariners fans. I mean, they're going through it right now.
Yeah.
It's funny. Scott Servais actually is drawing interest from teams. It's funny you ask, M's fans. The Twins are interested. The Orioles are interested. He's going through his interviews right now. I get it. They're frustrated. But also, Dan Wilson did a nice job overall this season with the Mariners. I mean, he had a more talented roster.
Talk to some Mariners fans, they'll say there were some mistakes, but every manager makes mistakes. And you can always nitpick every decision.
Mm-hmm.
So, Scott Servais, his time ran out. They hired Dan Wilson. He got him almost to the World Series. But he's still – who's going to be the first guy to get the Mariners to the World Series? That's the question.
I don't know. It's really tough to get back to that spot.
It is.
It's really tough.
A lot of things went right for him this year.
Yeah, and you know what? The starting staff was insane the prior 2 years. This year it took a step back in terms of effectiveness.
Plus, but now they get another year older. They're going to start getting expensive at some point.
Expensive, and they just went through it in the playoffs. Like, if I'm a fantasy baseball player, which I am, like I'm worried about some of those guys just based off workload, playoffs, whatever. I mean, they're not all going to get through next season clean, just like this year. So I still stand by this. Like, they had this the prior 2 years. They could have had this.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even make the playoffs with those guys. Right? They made it once. So it was this year, and then before that, it was what, 22? Right?
Yeah.
Does that sound right? 22 was the year where they made it.
Did they make it 22 and 23? No, 23 because no. Sorry.
A lot of numbers flying in my head. 22. Yeah, because it was 2001 all the way up till 2022. And then they missed again in 23 and 24. Those were the 2 years where we were like, oh my gosh, this starting pitching staff is ridiculous. They had no bat. The one thing that M's fans are complaining about as well, and very valid point, bottom of their lineup started to become a complete non-factor in this series. Like Rivas had a tough series. Canzone had a really tough series. Like they didn't have the 1 through 9 depth that the Blue Jays had. They had more talented pitching, but there were some, I don't want to say auto outs, but it was not what you want at the bottom. They didn't feel like they completely filled out the roster there.
True.
Yeah. I don't think they should have sat Lopez either. I think he can at least create action for you. All right, let's slap. We now know who the 2 World Series teams are, and Todd Father, one of those teams will win and get World Series rings. And 1 or 2 players will win no matter what.
It's awesome.
Buddy Kennedy is one of those 2 players. This August, he played 2 games as an infielder for the Blue Jays and 7 games for the Dodgers. Buddy Kennedy posted this story on Instagram. Go team. And it shows the Dodgers and the Blue Jays on a nice little movie poster.
I love it. I was at one of those games he played in San Diego.
Yeah.
Earlier this year.
For which team?
Dodgers.
Dodgers?
Yep.
Hey, does he get both rings or no?
Oh, like does he get
Yeah, he should, yeah.
Yeah, right?
That's the best part about our sport. I think in the NBA, you got to play a certain amount of games. They won't give it to you if you just play like 10 games or something.
Oh, really?
Baseball's
Maybe he
different.
only gets one. Maybe he only gets the winner.
I don't want him to be the only guy though. There's one other.
Who's the other one?
Jose Urena.
He played for both?
Both teams this year.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, he didn't post about it, but 6 appearances with Toronto.
Wow.
And 2 with the Dodgers. Jose Urena, congratulations. Your dream has come true. You're a World Series champion.
You're getting one. It's awesome.
It is awesome. Your 2 teams line up in the World Series, and it's just like, all right. At this point, you just maybe root for whichever team you think is going to give you better bling, which, sure, you might think the Dodgers, but actually, if the Blue Jays win a World Series, they haven't done that in a minute, so either team's going to take pretty good care of you in that department.
So cool. So
Yeah.
cool.
Benji Molina was the first guy I remember doing that. Back in 2000.
Yes. You're sitting back. You don't even need to watch the game. You're just like, I'm coming home with a ring. That's so cool, man.
What was it in 2010?
2010. He played
Giants?
for the – he was on the Giants. They brought Buster up, and he went to the Rangers. But his Rangers team lost to the Giants.
Luck of the draw. But not really. You're a big leaguer. Teams wanted you, and you get rewarded for it. So lots of World Series talk all week. First game is Friday. See you mañana.